Hello everyone and welcome to this WFA chat session, which is a coffee break discussion. I'm Ollie Theocaras, Head of Content for WFA, and I'm going to help lead this session today from quite grey London. I hope it's sunnier wherever you are. So I hope you have your coffees at the ready. I hope you have your phones on silent and you're ready to enjoy the discussion over the next 20 to 30 minutes. So as always, this is an informal session and we are live. So we would love you to interact throughout. So you should be able to see in the bottom right of the screen, there is a button that says questions, which is next to the chat box. If you want to ask a question, you can type it in here. So we'll be asking you to put some questions to Emma, the person we're interviewing today, and we'll come to those at the end of the discussion. So Emma is a coach, consultant and writer in the food and ag industry, and she really does have farming in her blood. I'm sure she will tell you a bit more about that shortly. So she's here to share her experience taking part in the WFA mentorship program, which is supported by Alltech. So Emma, thank you very much for being here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here, and I'm pleased to see everybody joining us on screen as well.
Great. So can you start by just introducing yourself for our audience and telling us a bit about your background?
Yes. Well, as you mentioned, I have farming in my blood. So my parents still farm in the north of Scotland and are very active farmers. And obviously I was home at Christmas time giving them a hand. But I have a very long career in the agricultural publishing industry and had a little foray into road transport publishing and also construction for a while as well. But had a long career, obviously, in publishing and agricultural media. And last year was given the opportunity to have a bit of a career change. And I've always, really since starting managing people 25 years ago, have really enjoyed managing and mentoring people. And have now set myself up as a professional coach and mentor. And I still do some writing as well. So it's the best of all worlds, really. You know, I get to help people achieve their goals and in their careers and carry on doing some writing as well. Still asking lots of questions. So it's great. I've been really enjoying it, and it's been, you know, really great change to have and to be able to make in my life. So that's a bit about me. But the coaching and mentoring side of things is something I absolutely really enjoy. So it's great to come and talk to you about it today as well as part of WFA.
Fantastic, thank you. No, I really don't know anyone who knows the ins and outs of food and ag like you do, Emma. So I'm really excited to get your thoughts on this subject. And also Emma does a lot of moderating and chairing. So, you know, it's like two moderators having a chat today, which is always nice. We're in the same boat a lot of the time. So I want to start by talking about mentoring in general. So for those unaware, can you talk us through what you think being a mentor involves?
Well, it's really trying to be somebody who is sometimes can give a different perspective to your mentee about things, can help them work through challenges they might be facing, can be a real support for them as well, and really is somebody who is there with them as they make those steps, perhaps in their career or in their life. You're not there to be somebody who micromanages things or to say to them, this is how you do it. But you're there to be somebody as a mentor who sort of says, oh, well, you know, what could you do? These are some of the things that might have worked for me while I've been doing it. So, you know, these are perhaps a range of things that, you know, you might be able to try. So it's really a kind of positive discussion and something that can help people achieve, you know, really good things, sometimes overcome barriers that they are facing. And, you know, it's just very interesting from being a mentor, being involved and being able to help somebody and to sort of see how they operate and what they do.
No, I think that's a really good point. And what I'm picking up on there is a mentor doesn't necessarily have to have all the answers. They're there to kind of listen and offer some potential things the person could do to kind of work through challenges they're facing. But they don't necessarily have to say, this is what you definitely have to do. Is that fair?
That's absolutely fair, because, you know, you don't want to take that responsibility for doing whatever it is away from your mentee. And you want to feel them to go away and feel empowered about doing something that, they have decided that that's the right thing for them to do, rather than being railroaded to do something that their mentor has told them they should do. It's very much a sort of it's quite a give. It's a conversation that you have with you and your mentee, and it's important to listen to what they have to say and to listen how they say those things as well. And I think, I'm just seeing Sinead has put a point up in the questions box about it's a really important thing that, as a mentor, you don't have all the answers. You can't possibly. But having somebody who's got perhaps a little bit of experience to offer and is happy to listen and happy to sort of talk through things that might be good options to solve a challenge, those are really the most important things a mentor can do and can be. And sometimes people just need somebody to listen to them, and sometimes just to give them a little bit of confidence to do that thing. And that's a really important thing that, a mentor can do as well.
I think that's a really great way of looking at it as well. Now, I do have some ulterior motives for this discussion as well, because as I'm sure a lot of those watching know, we at WFA think mentorship is really vital for our industry to support the progression of women. And actually, from our annual survey, the results there demonstrate that the sector actually agrees with us, and there is value in both having a mentor and becoming a mentor. So we set up last year the WFA mentorship scheme, where we matched 60 people in the sector with 60 women around the world who wanted to develop their careers in the food and ag industry. So we're trying to encourage even more people to get involved this year. And Emma, you joined us in that first cohort, so you can give us a first-hand experience of what it was like. So firstly, what made you want to get involved with the programme in the first place?
I think I thought it was a really absolutely worthwhile programme, because I have been mentored in the past by people, and I found it really, really useful and very powerful. Just somebody that you feel is on your side, who's not necessarily involved in your business, who can give you a different perspective, talk through things that you might be thinking about doing, and sometimes just give you that little bit of confidence to do it. So I knew how beneficial it could be, and so I really wanted to come and be part of this, because I think in agriculture we are still a bit of a minority, I would say, often, women in agriculture, but I think have a lot to offer. And sometimes it's just helpful to have somebody who you feel is on your side, giving you that little bit of confidence. So I saw the scheme coming up, and I knew it was happening, and I just thought I really wanted to be part of it, because I just knew the benefits that it gave. And I knew from my point of view, I would really enjoy being a mentor as well, and how interesting it is sometimes to find out about how other people think and how their businesses perhaps view things as well.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot that you can learn from kind of both sides of the role as a mentor and a mentee. And of course, if we do have any budding mentors or mentees watching, or anyone who'd like to get involved, applications for the WFA mentorship scheme end on the 31st of January, so next Monday. We're going to post a link in the description shortly. But of course, all mentorship schemes in our industry that I've seen, I think have got are really worthwhile, whether it be within your business or externally. If you can get involved with them and take part, I would recommend it. So I know it was quite a while ago, Emma. It was over a year ago. But what was the process of applying like when you applied for the WFA mentorship scheme?
It was surprisingly straightforward, actually, because I think sometimes you can think, oh gosh, I'm going to have to give chapter and verse in here, but actually it was quite straightforward. It didn't take very long, and it was easy to do. And I think whoever did the matching did a brilliant job, because I had the most fantastic mentee who I still talk to now. We have a really good relationship. It's been really fantastic, I think, from both sides. But that first step, you sort of fill in the form and you send it off, and you think, well, what's going to happen now? But it's been fantastic. I absolutely loved it. It was very straightforward. The sort of match between myself and my mentee was brilliant. And I think it is a straightforward process. It's nothing to get too worried about, I think. So I would say just do it.
Yeah, it's a really good suggestion there, because I think We hand match at WFA because we did look at kind of different technologies we could try and use to match people up. And what we were discovering was the personal touch is the one, really. You can't really get a real feel of what people want, the locations they're based in, what their preferences are in terms of a mentor or a mentee, unless you're actually a human looking at lists of kind of requirements, really. So my colleague Melissa is an absolute pro on this, and she does a lot of the matching, and then I kind of go through as well and check that I agree. And so it's a complicated process, but hopefully it means that we do have a good number of matches that really do work out like yours, Emma.
Mm-hmm.
I know what a lot of people I think can find really nerve-wracking is actually the first meeting. What was your experience meeting your mentee for the first time, and what sort of things did you talk about in that first session?
It is, I'd agree, it is quite nerve-wracking from both points of view. And I think I took the first step and kind of reached out to my mentee and said, hello, we've been matched up. Would you like to meet? Obviously in this time of COVID, we couldn't meet physically, but I just sort of said, look, let me know when would be really good for you to have a chat on Teams, because I think it's really good to be able to see one another, because that definitely has a big dimension to it. Because a lot of communication is not verbal, so you can tell a lot from how you see somebody presenting themselves, or sometimes how they say things can make a big difference. So that first meeting, I reached out and said, let's have this first meeting, let's do it on Teams. We found a time that worked for both of us, which was quite hard because I think at the time we were both really busy. But it's important to try and make sure that you do mark out that time for that first meeting, and don't let it sort of, don't let other meetings eat into it. Try and make sure you're on time. And I think we just started by kind of introducing ourselves and having a really good chat about our backgrounds, about kind of what our strengths perhaps were, and the things that, and I was really keen to hear what my mentee's challenges were, or what she really wanted to try and achieve, or what she wanted to get out of being mentored as well. And I also asked her, I think, how she wanted to be mentored. What really did she want? Did she want somebody who was going to be there sort of, every week or every month or whatever? Or was it something a little bit more sporadic, when she had specific challenges? So that we really tried to be clear at the outset, sort of what the structure was going to be going forward. And also I made sure that she knew that every discussion that we had was absolutely confidential as well. And I think that's a really important thing to say, that there has to be a lot of trust in the relationship between mentor and mentee. And you have to, as the mentor, to be a good mentor, you need to sometimes be able to be told things that go no further. So you have to absolutely respect that. And it has to be, that relationship has to be really confidential. And your mentee doesn't want you to sort of go to somebody, oh yes, I was talking to so-and-so the other day and they said such and such. It's got to be really confidential. So I was really clear about the boundaries that we were going to have around that as well, and we'll maintain those for forever, really. So you just have to be really clear about that. But I think we just had a really good chat. I tried to make it quite relaxed, so I think we both had ours a bit like just now, with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and just trying to have a really good chat to start with, and just trying to build that rapport and really make sure that we both felt comfortable about it as well. And it worked really well. So
I mean, it sounds like you kind of approached it quite well. I think everyone is a bit, as we said, nervous when you go into that first meeting. So I think trying to go in with lots of questions to try and understand what the other person wants and what they're like is great. I mean, one thing I should say about the scheme is we have mentors who are in their 20s up to mentors in their kind of 60s and 70s. So we have people at all levels of the business, of their careers and of businesses, because we have mentors and mentees of many different levels. So don't be thinking, oh, I don't have as much experience in the sector, so maybe I shouldn't get involved with this, because I think I really believe that someone at any level of their career can be a mentor if they want to be, and if they want to learn and develop those skills. Emma, I do want to ask you now to give us a bit of a summary. So how has your year been with your mentee? And do you feel it's been beneficial to both of you in the process?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's been fantastic. I think we have both really enjoyed it, actually. Um, we've talked about lots of different topics. We have, talked about lots of different challenges, lots of really positive things as well. And I think there have been some really positive outcomes as a result of it. I think both of us have taken part in some of the other, coffee break and training sort of discussions that have been part of WFA as well, and have found those really helpful too. And sometimes those have been topics that we've discussed as part of our sessions as well, which has been really interesting, and to find our different takes on some of the things that have been discussed. There was a really good session earlier in the year about managing stress, which was quite applicable to both of us at the time. So it was really great to be able to take that and discuss that, and how we might, both use the knowledge that we gained from that. So I think it has been really good. I have really enjoyed it. And as I said, we're still in touch now. In fact, I think I just emailed this morning to see how things are going. So I would say I think it's been really beneficial for both of us. And I think we've both really enjoyed it as well. And I feel like I have actually found a friend as well as a mentee, which,
That's really nice.
has been great.
It's really nice to hear. And I think with the process, we do say you're signing up to it for a year, but so many of the partnerships are messaging us to say, oh yeah, we're carrying on. We're in this now for the long haul. So a lot of these relationships are continuing, and we're not going to stop you. Do what you want. It's your relationship to culture after the year that you see fit. And during that year, we suggest you meet once a month, but I know some partnerships who meet once every 2 months. I know some that meet every 2 weeks. So you've really got to kind of figure that out in the first few meetings, what's going to work for you and how you need to get to where you need to be. So this is the point as well, where my sales pitch to convince people to come and become mentors really comes in. Emma, can you tell us what for you has been the best thing about being a mentor?
I think seeing the progress of my mentee, actually, and just, it's been really interesting sometimes to be able to take a look outside the business I've been involved in and look at some, the challenges somebody else is facing as well, because it does give you a fresh perspective on things. It makes you as a mentor look at things in a different way sometimes as well, and that can be really valuable too. When you're discussing sort of challenges or things, sometimes you would find that you're in the past, when I've mentored people as well, often they will come up with quite different ways of approaching things and doing things, and that can be quite eye-opening as well. And it's brilliant because it is quite a good two-way process. So I've enjoyed that as well. And finding out about another business as well, and some of the things that they do has been really, that's been really interesting. But I have just really enjoyed it, actually.
Oh, that's really good to hear. And I do have one final question for you until we check out some of the questions that have come in. What would you say to those who are thinking about taking part in the WFA mentorship program or any other mentorship program out there? What would your advice be?
I would say just do it. Give it a go, because these things, it's really positive. You feel like you're making a difference. You're finding out about other people, other things. It's just a really enriching, positive experience. I would say that you do need to be prepared to put some work in, set the time aside to make it happen and make it work, and that is important. You don't want to be letting your mentee down. But I would say just do it. It's been fantastic. I really enjoy it, and I would absolutely recommend it.
Mm-hmm. That is very good advice and great sales pitch, Emma. Thank you very much. I'm going to look at some questions now. I mean, I can answer one that's come in. Are all the mentorings English-based, or are there mentors that speak other languages? We do have some that speak other languages, and we do ask if there's kind of where people are based, and we do try and match them people accordingly. Emma, one for you. Do you have to like managing people to be a mentor? I'm interested in mentoring, but managing people is the worst part of my day job. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think you do. I think if you're good at listening to people, and if you're interested in people, and you want to help, or you have some experience, I think being able to listen to people, ask questions, um, share some thoughts that you might have, and really help give people a bit more confidence, or sort of feel that they've got a bit more power to do some of the things they want to do. That's really the nub of it, because you're not managing that. You're not managing that person. You are not, as the mentor, in charge of their performance. What you're doing is really, somebody should be coming to you as a mentee, being somebody who wants to improve or make a difference or to change something. So they're already in that sort of growth mindset of wanting to change something and do something. And you're not, as a mentor, you're not responsible for their success or their how they get on and do that. You're the person who's there to maybe help them do that, but ultimately it's down to them. So it's definitely not managing. If you don't like managing people, it doesn't matter. But as long as you like people, you will make a good mentor, I think.
That's a great answer. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a slightly different role because you're not having to deal with the stress of kind of getting people to a certain level and things like that. So yeah, I agree with you there, Emma. I think that's very fair. We've got another question here. How much experience do you find is necessary before becoming a mentor? I think a lot of young people still suffer from imposter syndrome, and maybe it makes recruiting mentors difficult. Do you think that's fair? And and what experience do you think is helpful, Emma?
I think it's a very good question. But I think, as I've said, I think really anybody can be a mentor if you are happy to listen and you're happy to help. And everybody has real strong points and skills that they can offer, that they can share with people. There are people who are much, much younger than me who would be actually fantastic at mentoring me about some of the challenges I now face in my own business, with setting up a website, and all of the technology and that's involved in those sort of things, which, be absolutely very straightforward for a lot of people. So I don't think it really matters about your age too much. I think it's about sort of whether you want to mentor, whether you feel that you have some skills or some that ability to listen and to help people to move forward. That's really the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you there. And actually, another question has come in, which is asking about, is it best to be matched with someone with the same kind of job as you or in the same country, or is it good to mix things up? And kind of leading on from that, I feel that it kind of depends on the situation, really. So, I think sometimes it's good to mix things up depending on what the mentee wants or mentor wants, and sometimes best to stay the same. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think so. And I think the other thing to say is that actually on the when you apply to be a mentor, or if you're a mentee applying, it's quite good to sort of really think about what are the things you do want out of it, or what are the strengths that you offer. And I think mentees have to be quite truthful often about what they would like, as well, so that actually when you do that process of going through the forms and trying to match people up, you can make as successful a match as possible. Because I know that you will be trying to sort of match people where you think that there is sort of somebody who can help with that growth or to overcome those challenges that mentee has said. And if they can be as specific as possible on the, in the forms to start with, I think that will help, I'm guessing, with your hand matching process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's very fair. And I think what we're doing this year, which we didn't do last year, is last year we did some training for the mentors, but we didn't do any training for the mentees. And actually that's so important because they're going in blind as well and they don't know what to expect either. So we're going to kind of communicate that to them a bit more, that you have to be really open and honest with what you want so your mentor can support you accordingly. I'm going to do one more question as we are already running over time and there's plenty coming in. It's fantastic. Emma, what's been the most challenging experience for you mentoring?
Not talking too much.
Oh, I hear you.
I think sometimes it's better just to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you are the sort of person who wants to be a mentor, you are often somebody who's sort of a real people person and you kind of really want to share and you really want to help, but sometimes just listening and being silent and letting somebody fill that gap can be sometimes the most valuable thing. And that's the thing I have had to train myself quite hard to be, to really listen.
Mm-hmm. That's something I think I need to work on too, to be honest with you, Emma. But yes, I agree. I think that's a really good one there. And I am going to round it up now. So thank you so much. It's been really great, Emma, to kind of get your thoughts on this. And we've had so many questions coming in, which is clearly kind of an indication that people are very interested in what's going on and your advice to them. So I hope that those watching have been tempted to become a mentor or a mentee as part of this program or the others out there. So if you are interested in the WFA mentorship scheme, you can find out more information on the WFA website. We're going to post the link in the box now, but also if you can, just go to the WFA website and click the mentorship tab. And thank you to Emma for your time. Thank you to Alltech, because of course their partnerships has allowed us to actually develop this scheme even further this year and do even more work around it. And also thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. It's been great to have your input. We hope you have a lovely day and you tune into future sessions that we produce from WFA.
Fantastic. And please do, I was going to say to everybody, please feel free to get in touch. My details, I think, are in the chat box now, my LinkedIn details. More than happy to help. And I know Ollie and the team, did a great job last year with the WFA mentoring scheme. And I'm sure it's going to be even better this year.
Thank you.